find the address?
I don't want to tell her. I'm so worried about her.
Yeah.
What's happening with you, baby?
This episode was really emotional for me. It was really emotional. I'm happy that we got to see a couple of scenes where there wasn't that much fighting. Yes, when things erupted, it was really chaotic. But seeing Khanyi on the screen for me was very sort of heartwarming. I cried when Nadia was crying. That was devastating for me. It was very heartbreaking. Nobody deserves to lose a loved one. Losing a loved one is never the easiest thing to go through. So I really empathize, and I hear where she's coming from. And I'm grateful that Khanyi was able to help sort of calm there, not only calm, but allow Nadia to release whatever baggage she'd been holding on to, whatever pain she had been holding on to. So that was really amazing. I'm so happy that Ini is here. I'm so happy that she's coming to tag out her sister. And I don't think there's anyone who would have been better suited to come and sort of replace Annie on the show, because I think Ini is very adaptable and Ini will not take BS from anyone. So I can't wait to see how sort of she impacts the show, especially when people like Khanyi come back. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Young, Famous and African, Season 3, Episode 4. I'm really trying not to cry, because one thing about my reviews is you're going to go through the emotions with me, and I'm really trying not to cry because this was a very moving scene. Seeing Khanyi just lifted my soul. I was so excited. I love her. I love her. And so then everything that followed afterwards just had me broken. Really, I empathize with Nadia. I understand, and I feel very sorry for her, because nobody deserves to lose a loved one. I know someone in the comments had said that her partner had been killed, but to see it and to see it play out. And I remember Annie said something about, oh, I'm not going to go at Nadia because I know she's going through a lot, so I want to give her grace because of that. And so you have Nadia and Fantana having a conversation. Fantana reveals that she's worried that she might be pregnant with Diamond's baby, so she's begging Nadia not to tell Swanky, and the doorbell rings, and guess who walks in? Oh my God, I love Khanyi. I love her. She walks in, and as soon as Nadia sees her, her walls break down and she cries, because I think she's been trying to put on a brave front for everybody else. And one of the people that she's closest to in the friend group, or maybe, in her life, is Khanyi. And so seeing Khanyi just broke her, and she started crying. And she reveals that she was on suicide watch. And a lot of people do end up going on watch after losing a loved one, because people are worried that this person is going to take themselves away. And what she said, I sort of resonated with it, because she said, she wasn't suicide watch. She was worried that she would unalive herself, but then realized that even if she unalived herself, she would never be in the same space with the person that she lost. And I remember when my mom passed away, that was a thought to me. And I think this is a thought to a lot of people, that you realize that as much as you want to follow the person that's gone, there's no guarantee that you're going to see them again. There's no guarantee that in the afterlife you'll end up in the same place. So seeing her cry, this is good for her. I always champion for people to go to therapy, especially if you've lost a loved one. Bereavement therapy helps. From personal experience, bereavement counseling should be mandated for everyone that loses a loved one. Whether or not you're going to say anything, everybody deserves, because in bereavement counseling, for someone who sort of referred me or encouraged me to go, you don't know the person you're talking to, so you can vent, you can channel out everything you're going through. They're not going to judge you. Sometimes you might never meet them again. So I really hope at some point Nadia gets to a point of sort of saying, right, I'm ready. I think she's right to say she's not yet ready. And I feel people shouldn't push her to say she needs to go until she's good and ready. And so I really empathize, because now it's sort of a full circle moment. Now it makes sense from the comment that Annie made, to see Nadia where she is, to see where she's comfortable and she's safe and she's able to offload to the person that she's closest to. And you even heard Khanyi say, I'll know Nadia is back to herself when she starts doing TikToks, when she starts cooking, when she starts playing with her dog and staying with her dog. And that was really sad. And this I love. This is what I'm saying. We need to see more of this, because this helps a lot of people that are going through grief to realize that it's actually not me alone. There are people going through this just like I am. And there are so many stages of grief, and people should be allowed to navigate the stages of grief and understand that you're not going to go through them in chronological order. You might go through a couple and then go back again. And so it's acceptable and it's understandable. And people need to stop silencing someone when they're grieving, but allow them to grieve so that they can heal and move on once they get to acceptance. Obviously, then they started laughing after some time, and Nadia revealed that, Fantana is concerned that she might be pregnant with Diamond's baby. The look on Khanyi's face was just like, oh, not another one. Not another one. Because I remember the time she was talking to Nadia, and she used to discourage Nadia to say, don't play with Diamond. Diamond will take you down the wrong path. And so now to see that Diamond has actually charmed somebody else and Fantana is now here. Fantana was begging, please don't tell Swanky, don't tell Swanky. And Khanyi said, well, I'll tell you. So she phoned Swanky. Oh, you won't pick up. And he picked up. Everyone was excited to see Khanyi. I was excited. I really missed her. I think the show was different without her. You have Zari and her husband. They're catching up since his meetup with Diamond. And Zari knows Diamond. She should know that Diamond is going to be messy. He really is, because his conversation, I remember in my last review, I said his conversation with Zari's husband was inappropriate. This is why Zari should have been present to mediate and sort of stop him from saying stuff that might instigate a fight, because these are newlyweds. You have to respect their marriage. You can't just be speaking out of the side of your mouth and think that the husband is going to take it, because now you're putting him in a position whereby he's questioning his wife. Is my wife telling me the truth, or is Diamond telling me the truth? He doesn't know who to believe. And because he brought up the situation about the surrogacy, and it's like, this is something that's sort of sensitive, something that's a sort of a sticking point. Diamond didn't need to discuss that with the husband. He should have said to the husband, when the husband asked, okay, what we'll do is at the next meetup, Zari, myself, and you will sit down, and then we'll discuss this, and we'll sort of explain to you exactly what happened and how this conversation came to be. That would have made more sense. Instead of him going behind Zari's back and saying this, and then not having the decency to sort of own up or sort of give a heads up to say, Zari, just in case your husband asks, this is what I said to him. That way, should have been prepared for when she had the conversation with him to sort of say, no, this is what happened. This is not. It's a good thing that he seemed to be understanding, and he seemed to be ready to sort of believe his wife and sort of move on from it. So I hope this is the last tension we have, because that wouldn't be a nice look. You have Lewis arrange an event for everyone. He says, in Namibia, he wakes up, he's in nature, close to wild animals. So he wants everybody to experience that. So he invites everybody to this sort of resort. It looked amazing. This is what I love. The fact that they're sort of showing people different parts of South Africa. I said this in my previous review. I'll say it again. This is what I love, because it's good for tourism. It's good for sort of income. It brings sort of, money to South Africa, and which will lead to further development. So that I love. And the house looked amazing. Everyone was saying, he outdid himself. So the first person to arrive is Naked. Naked is in a very good space. He's happy, to be there. Kaylee didn't rock up with him. Apparently, Kaylee is still upset with Naked and Lois, because Lois invited Naked somewhere and Kaylee wasn't invited. According to the two of them, Lois is insistent that he invited Kaylee, but Naked didn't want to bring Kaylee. And it's like, oh my God, why do we have to cause drama for other people's relationships? You have Kifi arrive. Kifi is not in a good space, but she's trying not to be the party pooper. Even the guys notice that she's not in a good space. Lois and his extra long hugs is crazy. His extra long hugs are crazy. I don't know why he does that, because at one point you had, DJ Naked sort of say, oh, can we stop the hugging? And we thought that was it. Next arrived Fantana and Nadia. They seem to be very close friends this season. So they came together. They seemed happy. They loved the setting. And then Zari and her husband sort of came out. They had arrived before the girls. So they came out, and then you had Louis sort of hug Zari. And it seemed, everybody said it was a very long hug. And it's like, I don't know. You can't, what can I say? I understand where her husband is coming from. I understand where everybody else is coming from. But these people had a relationship prior to Zari getting married. And so you can't expect those relationships to end just because she's got married. If this is how she and Louis hugged each other and she is saying they're brother and sister vibes, I don't get why her husband would be that territorial. I don't get it. I think maybe it wasn't such a good look for him to pull him aside in front of everyone. I think he should have waited and spoken to his wife first, and then from there asked his wife to go and speak to her friend and set boundaries with her friend, because otherwise it's not a good look, because now Louis is now defensive and he's sort of saying, are you serious? Are you serious? Are you trying to accuse me of something? And it's like, oh my God, do we need any more drama? Please don't, please. I wish Louis had just apologized and said, okay, I'm sorry for that if I did anything to disrespect you. But Louis obviously was standing his ground because he felt he hadn't done anything wrong. Swanky arrives, and then you have, Shakib and Louis come back to the group, and nothing is said about what was discussed when they left the group. Everyone is sat down, and you can see that Kifi is there in spirit, but she's not there. Well, she's there in body, but her spirit is not there. And she even confirms it, that my spirit is not here. So eventually it comes out, she's going through a divorce. She's struggling with the divorce. Her ex apparently seems to be controlling. He wants to know where she is, what she's doing, why is she doing it, and that sort of thing. And they actually seemed to have this moment where I thought, oh my God, they're moving on with Zari. They're in a very good space. They're very understanding towards one another. They're learning about each other. They're empathizing. Because Zari even spoke about her ex and how he was controlling, and I used to follow her. Swanky, co-signed that and said, yeah, I saw that, I remember that. And so you were thinking, oh my God, this group, they're doing amazing. There's personal growth. They're showing us different sides of them. There's progression. And then suddenly they went to bed. The next morning, Louis took them on a safari tour and everyone was there. I love that everyone was dressed for the event. No one was in high heels. I think the producers actually told them, you need to wear ABC. So they really looked cute. They really looked cute. Especially, I liked Nadia's clothing. I liked the little hat that she had on. I thought that was cute. So surprisingly, it was surprising how they set them up, because in one van, you had Nadia and Fantana with Shakib and Louis. And it's like, why are we putting Shakib and Louis in the same car? We know they fell out yesterday. Why not put Shakib with his wife? Are we trying to create tension? Are we trying to create commotion? I think they were after drama. I think they expected the two guys to fight. This is why they set them in the same car. And then in the other car, you had Naked with Swanky, and you had Kifi and Zari, and it's like, this has been done to create tension, nothing else. They're looking for drama, so they've put people that they know have a problem with one another in the same car. Otherwise, there's no justification for that. Anyway, while they're in the car, you have Zari start poking. She's starting to look for information in regards, Kifi's marriage. How were you married? This, that, and the other. And Kifi's back immediately goes up because she says, oh, I thought, she wanted to console me. She was being understanding, but it seems like she's digging for information, because she started off by asking, were you married? Who were you married to? And Kifi said, well, I was married. I was a second wife. I met this guy and I was his second wife. And then it just goes left, because Zari says, oh, I saw you, you had cows on Instagram and people said you're doing a photo shoot. And it's like, this is not the time. The two of you are in the middle of the forest. Please don't do this, because there's nowhere to run to. You're stuck in this car. You will have to enjoy each other's company for however long you're stuck in the car. This is not necessary. It just went left. And Kifi was able to stand up for herself. I think she's realized that in this group, if she plays a weakling, they're going to run all over her. So she actually needs to stand her ground, and she needs to speak up for herself and sort of make sure that people don't take advantage of her. Otherwise, they're going to railroad her, because this group needs people that are made of the strong stuff. If you're not, then you're not going to last. I'm surprised that Khanyi didn't come. I wanted her to come to the group, but she didn't come. In the other car, you have Fantana, they're having a conversation, and Nadia reveals that Fantana is worried that she might be pregnant. And it's like, why are we saying this? Why are we saying this? Why would we reveal somebody else's secret? And so you have Shakib actually come up and say to Fantana, I thought the person who was going to reveal the secret was Louis, but Louis minded his own business and is now grown. I give him a lot of credit, because you have Shakib reveal that, Diamond, this is not what he was saying about you when I asked him about your relationship with him. So you need to be careful of your relationship, because he might not see it the same way you see it. And it's like, I don't know how I feel about that, really. I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't know how Diamond is going to feel about it when he finds out that this is what Shakib said. Because he also told the same thing to Lewis, and Lewis didn't say anything. He didn't repeat anything. So I wish Shakib hadn't said anything. I wish he had just stayed out of that mess and dealt with whatever drama he has with Diamond on his own dime instead of bringing this in, because this further complicates things. In the other car, you have Swanky revealed, that, Nadia might be pregnant for Diamond. And it's like, why are we saying this? This is going to be messy because Zari's in this car. What do you want her to say? What do you want her to do? My thing is, I feel like Swanky shouldn't have said it in the car. Out of respect for his friendship with Zari, he should have phoned Zari or sent her a text message. Zari, I just want to give you a heads up. Apparently, Fantana thinks she might be pregnant for who? For Diamond. That way, she's not sort of blindsided in front of everybody else, because what was he expecting her to say? Or did the producers tell him to say it? What was the purpose of that conversation? That's not her business. She doesn't need to know it. So why would you feel the need to tell her? That I didn't like. I really didn't like that. So you have Nadia meet up with Diamond, and she's sort of asking him. I love that she didn't bring out the thingy about the pregnancy scare. I love that she only asked him questions, but it was a bit off because they used to be in a situationship. So Nadia and Diamond used to be in a situationship. So for her to be calling him out is a bit because it's like he could say whatever he wanted to say, but at least one thing I can say about Diamond is he has always told the truth about how he feels about Fantana. Yes, he might not have told Fantana the truth about how he feels, but to everybody else with ears to hear, he's told them the truth, that they are in a situationship, they're F-buddies, and that's it. And the problem comes when he goes to Fantana and he starts telling her what she wants to hear. I remember in season 2, Fantana actually said, Diamond and I are in a situationship. He has his own thing, I have my own thing. And then when we meet up, we do whatever we do. After that, we all keep it stepping. So it's not like this is something that Fantana isn't aware of. I don't know whether she and Diamond had a conversation where they decided to sort of elevate their relationship from wherever it was to suddenly, thinking they're boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. I don't know. We can criticize Diamond for anything, but in his confessional, in front of people's faces, he's always said the truth. I didn't like the things that he said when he gave her the flowers and sort of led her to believe that he doesn't have a girlfriend. But anyone would just automatically assume that Diamond, given his history, that he's got multiple situationships, multiple children. That wouldn't be hard to believe because he doesn't seem like he's serious. And he actually said he's not ready for a committed relationship. So if I were Fantana, I would take steps back gently and maybe focus on my music career with Diamond. That's what I would look at. Because Annie left last episode, I think she went home and they tagged her out for somebody else. I think whether her husband is one of the co-producers or whatever, somebody must have asked her, can we tag you out for somebody else? So they bring in Ini Edo, I remember the first time I saw her, it was in this movie called World Apart, and she was a maid, and then she fell, she met this man who was a prince and stuff, and that was my first experience of her. So I have seen a lot of her movies. I have seen her transformation over the years. So I really love her. The fact that they sort of played the emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here. It was like, it's befitting because I don't think she'll be able to tolerate as much crap as Annie did. Yes, she'll be messy. Yes, she's an actress, so she will act her way in some of the scenes. But at the end of the day, when it comes to it, I don't think they'll be able to rid her as much as they were ridding Annie, and I think she will be able to stand up for herself. I'm surprised that Swanky is the one who introduced her. I remember in season 2, Khanyi started asking that, so is Swanky the person who is now bringing people to the group? Because that was her role. So I assume what's happened is because... Ini reveals that she and Annie are sisters. Back home, they come from the same village, so they would consider each other as sisters. So I have a feeling that when Annie decided she wanted to go home, they went back to Nigeria and looked for an actress who was available and who would be able to come down and sort of fill in for Annie. And Ini decided to sort of fill in that role. And I'm happy she's here. I really am happy she's here. They meet up with Swanky. They have a conversation where she asks, Swanky, where is Annie? And Swanky says, I don't know. I really don't know. And it's like, I personally don't understand what went on or what went wrong between Annie and Swanky. Because I remember season 1, episode 1, them walking in together. So the idea that they are no longer friends, that they can't stand each other, they're at this point whereby they don't care what happens to each other, doesn't make sense. Even Annie was like, we are family, we need to resolve whatever issues we have. And so hopefully she is able to make sense of whatever's going on between Swanky and Annie, because the rest of us are still wondering what went wrong, because in season 1 they seemed fine, and then suddenly they came back season 2 and things have never been the same. Someone who was calling out Fantana for always giving in to Diamond, I understand. I have to say I understand, and I see why she's always giving in to him, because at the end of the day he's going to do things that he knows will turn her head. He's going to do things that he knows she can't resist. The fact that he brought her to this place where he had rose petals everywhere, he had roses everywhere. I see why Fontana is always falling short. I see why she's always, because I think he knows what she wants, whether she's made the mistake of telling him her love languages and he has memorized that. He knows what she wants as in, acts of service. He knows what she wants in words of affirmation. The fact that he tells her everything she wants to hear to her face, and then everybody else, or in his confessionals is saying something totally different. I understand why Fontana is always giving in. For her to tell him that I think I might be pregnant, and he said, oh, that's amazing. It's like, Diamond, why? We know you've got the money. Yes, you can afford to keep the child, but still, why would you do that? Why would you be so nonchalant about having a child? Why not actually be serious about it? And she was taken aback. I think she expected him to say, I'm not ready for another child or whatever, but he was on board with the child, and he said, okay, when we get to my party, I'll announce it to everyone that we're having a child. And it's like, I don't think this is what she was after. I don't think this is what she was trying to tell you. I think she was just telling you that, she's pregnant, and she thinks she might be pregnant, and just wanted you to have a heads up in case the test results comes back positive. He seemed on board. He seemed elated at the idea that you'd be having another child. And it's like, poor Fontana. I don't know who's going to save her from this man. She should have listened to Lewis on day 1, because whatever Diamond does, whatever he does, is really turning her head. So Diamond hosts an event. He has everyone come out. Inia is already aware that she's coming to the party. So everyone is excited. It was an amazing house. It was a very big house. It looked, it was catered for. He was tasting the food. He was making sure everything was on point. And the first guests to arrive were Naked and Kaylee. And they looked amazing. They really did look amazing. I think Kaylee was happy to come to this event, but she wasn't happy to come to Lewis's event. I don't know why she wasn't happy to go there. They were very happy. They were excited to see one another. And it's nice when the group comes together, because when they come together, they really, do amazing things. Next up was Nadia. Nadia's feeling some type of way. She's really not in the best of places with Diamond, because she doesn't like the way he's treating her friend. She and Fontana have become close friends. And I think because she's walked down this path with Diamond, she knows where it's leading. She knows where it's leading. And sadly, she can't save her friend for money or anything. For them to sit down, and then Kifi arrived, and Diamond, the lion, was out again. He was out and ready on the prowl, ready to roam. And it's like, they were all shocked. Everyone's jaw fell to the floor, because you had Naked looking at him like, but we were just talking about, Fontana, and already you've switched, you're ready for Kifi. It's like, Kifi needs to stay clear. I like the fact that she had plenty of space between her and Diamond, and it's like somebody must have warned her that, he's a very charming person, that if you're not careful, you will fall into his trap. And when you fall in his trap, it's very difficult for you to leave the trap. So it was cute to see them. You had Lewis arrive. He's always dressed for the nines. And then you had, boss lady Zari and her husband arrive. And I was actually surprised that they both came, because I think even Zari was surprised that, her husband was invited by Diamond. I don't think she expected him to invite her husband. So they arrived, and they seemed to be in a very good place. And everyone was just talking. Then Fontana arrived. Fontana was the last person to arrive, and everyone was sort of, well, the people that know that she might be pregnant are nervous, but Fontana on her own, it is what it is. And so you have Diamond sort of conduct a toast, and he said, oh, and to babies. And everyone is like, what? Nadia was taken aback. I think Nadia was asking herself that, is this person for real? Is he really for real? How can he be so nonchalant about a baby? How can he make it seem like it's nothing? And Well, they then skipped over that and talked about something else. Then you had Ini arrive with Swanky, and people were taken aback. People's backs were up because I think there was admiration, and there was also like, oh crap, where is Annie? We're used to Annie. Where is Annie? We like Annie because she's a punching bag or whatever. So once she sat down, you had questions like, oh, Swanky, did you bring Ini to replace Annie? Where's Annie? And it's like, this is not a good look because you don't know the relationship, Sari, between Annie and Ini. It might be a good idea to sort of get to know Ini and find out how she knows Annie, because at the end of the day, they might be very close friends and you might end up sort of creating tension that you will not be able to sort of overcome. Ini, on her part, sort of had her back up. And she didn't like that. You could tell she didn't like it, but she said, I'm going to do the cordial thing. I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to keep quiet. Then they started poking. It was too much. I think it was too much. I'm surprised Ini eventually sort of gave in and answered, because I would have expected Swanky to sort of stop the conversation the moment Nadia started asking, so are you married? Do you have children? Where's the father of your child? Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he helping with your child? And it's like, this is way too many questions. This is way too many questions. I had heard rumors that, she did have a child through surrogacy, but it was nice for her to speak on it and sort of say, it's not something that came to me lightly, because people think that being pregnant is something that's very easy, but not everyone is fortunate enough to be pregnant, let alone to carry the baby to term. And so the idea that she actually spoke her truth and spoke her story was amazing, because it's empowering for other people that are going through the struggle of conceiving to know that there are other alternatives that you could use in order to still get your dream. There is surrogacy, there is adoption, there's fostering, there's so many ways you can go about in order to have a child. So I loved that. Lewis obviously was ecstatic because this is something he's spoken about. He's spoken about surrogacy. He bonded about surrogacy with Sari last season because he really wanted to be a surrogate. He really wants to have a child of his own. And so I'm happy that Ini asked him the necessary questions that, do you have a girlfriend? Yes. Does she not want to have children? If you are dating, why would you want to go through surrogacy? It's not an easy thing. You need to really seriously think about it before you decide to go down that path. Yeah, because having a child is not easy. People assume that having a child is just, I want a child and that's it. I always say to people, I wish we all had to write an exam. Just as we write an exam to learn to drive, we need to write an exam to learn to have not to learn, but to actually have children. And a lot of people would not be parents, because at times some of the cases or the stories you hear about parenting are very devastating. So I'm happy that conversation was discussed, and it was discussed in a sort of, some of it was not respectful, but at the end of the day, it was respectful when they concluded it. So you have, once the surrogacy topic is finished, you have Zari's husband ask Diamond for a chat about the surrogacy topic. So they go outside and he sort of says to Diamond, he doesn't know who to believe, because at the end of the day, Diamond told him something, his wife told him something totally different. So he doesn't know who is telling him the truth and who is actually lying to him. So he wants to get to the bottom of it and find out exactly what was said, when was it said, and how was it said. So Diamond agrees that, okay, let's get Zari out here and let's have a conversation and find out exactly what you heard, and I will stand up on my truth and tell you what I said. Zari is taken outside after she was already sitting in the room and she was panicking. I see she has a lot of respect for her husband. The fact that she didn't stop him when he pulled Diamond out for a chat, I would have expected her to sort of call him out and sort of say, why are you taking him outside? But she didn't say anything. She mumbled to the group, but she didn't say anything to her husband. So when she went outside, this is controversial, and I know people are going to have a go at me, but this is my opinion. Looking at it from both sides, I think there's Diamond's truth, there's Zari's truth, and then there is the truth. I think both of them are omitting certain sections of their conversation because of the fact that they kept sort of trying to overtalk one another and sort of trying to make sure that they got their story right. It seemed, I have a feeling either they were having this joking conversation the way they always are, because I remember the first time we had, Zari close to Diamond in, was it episode 2 when he had that Arabian Nights thingy? The other cast members were sort of saying they go into this bubble where they are just themselves. You'd actually think they're still a couple. And I think whether they were having a flirty conversation, whether they were having a hypothetical conversation, somebody must have asked the other person about, how would you feel about me and you having a child? Because although Diamond didn't say anything, in his confessional, he actually turned to the camera and saying, I want to tell my truth, and my truth is that she said she didn't want children with other fathers, and she only wants, all her children to be with one father, so this is why she wanted surrogacy with me. Whereas Zari is saying, no, you asked me how I would feel about having another child with you. It wasn't the other way around. So I don't think it was resolved. I think whether it's the edit or whether that's the conversation where it ended, somebody needed to sort of, I think the husband still remains confused. He still remains confused because he owes allegiance to his wife. He has to believe his wife, but he's also questioning whether Diamond is telling the truth. And sadly, no one will ever know what was said because Diamond looked in the camera and said he needs to ask his wife to show him the text messages that I sent her. And it's like, ooh, okay, all right. This is now going to be chaotic, and I hope this doesn't cause mess to her marriage. I said this before when Diamond brought this topic up, that I wish he hadn't started this because this is a newlywed couple. They don't need to start their marriage with baggage from him. But anyway, it is what it is. So Diamond sits down at the table, he appreciates everybody for coming. He conducts a toast and then he sits down. And out of the blue, Nadia just starts going in at Diamond. I think it was uncomfortable. I really do. I wish Nadia had pulled him away the same way that he was pulled away by Shakib. Nadia should have done the same thing. She should have pulled him aside and sort of had a conversation with him to sort of ask him, okay, you are messing with my friend. Tell me the truth. Are you in love with my friend or are you just using her? And then he would have spoken his truth. Yes, I love your friend. No, I don't love your friend. I'm just using her. Whatever he would have said would have made sense because it was uncomfortable in the sense that he's just had a back and forth with Shakib and Zari. Now he's in this group with a new person, Ini Edo and Kifilwe, and they don't know him, and you're bringing up things like this. I didn't like that myself. I really didn't like. I'm not saying Diamond is the best person. He is wrong for the comments that he makes, the fact that he always says everyone that Fantana and I are F-buddies, and Fantana has actually previously revealed that she and Diamond are just F-buddies. There's nothing there. So I didn't like the way they sort of communicated in that instance because it blew out of proportion. For him to whisper to Fantana, he knows he's got control of Fantana. He knows Fantana will eat anything he dishes to her. So she was happy with the fact that, he said the girl he was kissing, because Nadia was asking, who were you kissing on Instagram? And he told Fantana that it was a music video. Everybody around the table was saying he's an artist, so it's very difficult to say whether that was real life or a video. And besides, you're saying you've heard it from gossip blogs, and so blogs will always put up whatever they want to put up, whether it's true or not. So it got so out of hand that Swanky ended up standing up and pulling Diamond away because he was uncomfortable. I think Nadia's going through a lot, and I think at times she's emotional, and at times it can be projected to the wrong people. Do I think Diamond is correct? No, he's not. No, he's in the wrong. He should have been honest with this girl and told her the truth. I am sadly not ready to settle down with anyone. I've got multiple girlfriends. If you're happy to be one of them, I'm happy. And that way she would have made a conscious decision knowing where she stands. I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode because you have Nadia sort of storm off. And it's like, Nadia, are you doing this because your friend you feel is being hurt? Or are you doing this because of your history with Diamond? Which is it? Which is it? Are you projecting your history with Diamond, or are you doing it because you're trying to save your friend? The fact that she was upset that, I can't be the only person who sees through this. Yeah, you're not the only person who sees through it, but there's a time and a place, love. There's a time and a place. You should have called Swanky. You should have called Fantana. You should have called Diamond. And the four of you should have sat down and had a conversation. There are two new people to the group. They didn't need to be part of that group because people like Ini has already got whiplash. First, there was the comment about Annie. Then there was the issues about her surrogacy. That's a bit too much for one person to take when you've just joined a group. So I can't wait to see what happens. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 3. Bye guys.